Dani Sheriff is the go-to expert for women whose periods have vanished, and no one can tell them why. After reclaiming her cycle and getting pregnant naturally, she founded the HA Society to help others do the same. A certified fertility awareness practitioner, Dani and her team have helped thousands of women recover from hypothalamic amenorrhea, optimize their cycles, and conceive without meds, IVF, or shame. She hosts the HA podcast, runs a coach certification program, and has been featured on Fertility Friday and other top wellness shows. I'm so thankful to have Dani here. I'm a new mom, and I have a lot of friends that are either on the journey to becoming new mom or they are new moms themselves, but this is still a thing, especially if they're trying to get pregnant again. So thank you for being here. And yeah, I'm just excited to see where the conversation takes us.
Yes. Oh, congratulations on being a new mom. She's almost 4 now. I still feel like I'm a new mom.
Yes.
So,
Every year's a discovery.
yeah. Yeah.
No one
Yes.
knows.
Like I'm a new 4-year-old's mom. And then yeah, it's a crazy time. Thank
So,
you for having me.
oh my gosh, my pleasure. I'm really excited to just chat with you about your journey and then, of course, how you help other people with theirs. So
Yes.
tell me, like, what was your journey like when you discovered that it was difficult to get pregnant at first? What were the thoughts that started to go through your head?
Mm. So, and this is something that everyone thinks. I didn't actually have any issues getting pregnant, but that's because I was fortunate enough to realize I was having fertility issues before I was trying.
Mhm.
So there's like a small caveat. So it's actually like a lot of people who have fertility issues don't realize until they're getting pregnant, like trying to get pregnant, right?
Yeah.
But I had something called hypothalamic amenorrhea, which is the complete and total absence of your menstrual cycle. So, you just kind of know as a woman, if you don't have that, you can't get pregnant.
Yeah.
I just was aware that I was infertile without even trying. And what was going on for me was I was really, it sounds like intense or whatever, but a victim of diet culture. And I could never be thin enough. I couldn't be fit enough. Couldn't be perfect enough. I had to keep striving and striving. And this is a really common trait for a lot of women, a lot of like
Yeah.
type A high achieving women. And you want to be it all. So I was an Olympic weightlifter for 15 years. And I was a bit of an avid CrossFitter, and I worked in the nutrition space and loved everything nutrition. And I'd say I was a health and fitness fiend, like a huge, just like nerd on the whole thing, right? Like so
Right.
many people. But when it came to a head and I went to an OBG appointment and they asked me how my periods were and I said they don't exist. And he said, well, we worry about it when women don't have a period. I was like, "Mm, yeah, that feels logical, but like no one's ever said that to me." And it
Right.
suddenly made it real.
Mm.
And then I went down the Google rabbit hole because he prescribed me progesterone, which is a very common prescription for that type of issue. It doesn't fix anything, which I intuitively knew, but I now know like, as a professional, I know, but at the time, intuitively, I knew. So I didn't take that, and I went down a Google rabbit hole to start discovering this suggestion,
Right.
this idea that was so wild to me that was like, you might be exercising too much and dieting too much at the same time. And it's making your period disappear. And I want to pause here for a second and let everyone know that you can have this issue and not lose your period completely. Not everyone loses their period. Some people just have abysmally poor hormone function, but their body will still menstruate. It's just like not optimal enough to get pregnant as well. I actually feel sorry for those people because it's less of a clear and obvious
Yeah.
diagnosis. It's better to have the period missing because you can't argue with it.
Mhm.
However, women will argue with it, and I tried to argue with it. You know, gain weight. I've never heard of that as an option for health. Eat more. What do you mean? Exercise less. What? Like that's not. Everything was fundamentally different to anything I'd ever been taught ever. Realizing in hindsight, like, oh, this is what it's like to be in a cult, right? Like you never questioned
Right.
the, and the idea of someone suggesting I may calm down, rest more, eat more was just like crazy to me. So I was avoiding that answer, I don't like that answer. Let me keep searching. Let me keep looking for it. Came up with nothing else.
Also, I'm sorry to interrupt, but, like, you also don't
Yeah.
wanna give up, like, everything you've been doing. Like, I was a health nut most of my life too, and you're like, "Well, I got this routine going, and it's been working for me just fine." But
Totally. And it's validating and people love me. I feel that people love me for it.
yes. Yeah.
You know? Yeah, it comes down pretty deep actually.
Yeah.
So in that research, I had to very slowly pry my fingers off of that identity, right,
Mm.
of health, wellness, fitness person. So, increasing calories, decreasing exercise slowly. And, pregnancy, it wasn't a goal for me at the time, but I knew I wanted it to be on the table. And as I was researching, I was actually learning your menstrual cycle is not an optional extra. It's not just for getting pregnant. You need to have estrogen, you need to have hormones functioning through your body for bone density, heart health, cognition. You will eventually die. I mean,
Mhm.
slowly, but you're decaying. You're decaying. It's like a report card. And this idea that I was actually becoming less healthy, it was blowing my mind and it was freaking me out.
Yeah.
So, through a lot of bravery and courage, in the face of society around me being like, "What are you doing?" I did it. I gained the weight. I was public about my journey because it helped me, selfishly just be like, "Hey, I'm doing this on purpose." Like I'm not letting myself go and all of these things that I feared. And at the end of it all, I got my period back and it was tumultuous, but like that's the short version. I like had this realization that that was way harder than it needed to be. There was little to no support out there for it. And so I decided to start a podcast and start a community and go back to school and enter into the fertility space and like create awareness and support for this problem. And here we are. And now I have a baby. And thanks to my journey, it was actually very easy to achieve.
Yeah. It's so interesting that you say that. I had a similar thing in the sense that I recognized there were some unhealthy habits that I had, and before months before trying to get pregnant, I was like, I gotta change something. And it was a lot of nutrition, less working out, more like eh, more movement, but not hardcore, you know, cardio circuit or hit circuit. I just needed to go back and be a little bit nicer to myself. And it was very therapeutic, honestly, to say, I'm just going to step back and I'm going to go on these lovely long walks outside with my dog and just get to know my neighbors. Like little things like that just changed my perspective about working out. And we got pregnant relatively quickly. And you know, science or
Yeah.
just also mindset too. It all comes together. So for a lot of people that, have been told that IVF is your only options, what internal shifts do they need to start making mentally, emotionally, and physically? Like what do you recommend for them to do through your program to get them on the right path?
Yeah, solid question. At the end of the day, so we coach women with HA, yeah, to restore their cycles, and most of the time they're trying to get pregnant. And very often they went to the doctor first, and the doctor said, "Ah, no worries. We'll get you pregnant with IVF or, the prerequisites like letrozole, Clomid, things like this." And sometimes they try that and it fails, and then they go further down the rabbit hole, and then they find us. And sometimes they go, "Oh, I don't want to do that. Let me research first." What we would love to be is the natural, logical step before treatment. But unfortunately, that's not how our healthcare and structure and society is operating right now. But what we would love, love, love women to do is everything you actually explained for your own journey. Because, yes, while you didn't completely lose your menstrual cycle like me, what was happening to you is the same thing that was happening to me. But I just had more sort of severe, loud symptoms
Yes.
than you did. So, with the same changes you kind of made, right? Like, all right, let's look at our life. Where are we burning the candle at both ends? Where are we maybe pushing ourselves more without giving ourselves fuel to do so, budget to do so? So look at your nutrition. Are you eating enough? And this is probably the most common one because everyone's perception of a healthy, nutritious diet is quite different.
Mm.
So if someone is constantly dieting, there are many women out there who feel like that is health, right?
Right.
There are people out there who believe that we have so much access to food that we should actually fear that and work as hard as we possibly can to avoid overeating because it's so easy to overeat here. And these things that get in your head that create fear around food. And if you have fear around food, if the idea of going out to dinner without checking the menu first freaks you out, or if like, oh, that's too fatty or that's too high carb or like just whatever, that's creating a fear response around food. That is a famine response and you are actively restricting it. And that is not conducive to fertility. And that can sometimes be the problem. Or it can be exercise and you're a runner and you just like run, 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 run. And you know what? You get up first thing in the morning and you do it fasted and you have your coffee. So you're like cortisol, 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 and you don't eat till 12. And maybe you do that to avoid overeating. Or as some people do that, and then every 2 weeks they like binge out and they become very focused on food because they're hungry. These things that we have associated as healthy habits to do because they're disciplined
Mm.
and they stop you from overeating are oftentimes just restrictive behaviors that are saying, you know what, buddy, we don't have abundance. I'm going to take from you and I'm going to keep resources from you, but I'm also going to expect you to perform at the highest possible level for me. And then when you develop digestive issues, neurosis around food, anxiety, sleep issues, low blood pressure, etc., I'm going to scratch my head and be like, oh, I have no idea why that could possibly be happening. So
Mhm.
it's that real first baseline look at like, what's your lifestyle and where are you asking more from yourself than is truly reasonable if you can remove like the cultural and societal expectations on yourself, which is honestly very hard to do and why we have coaching.
Yeah. Now, in your coaching program, because I'm sure you've heard this a lot, because there's a lot of dark sides of wellness. So, how do you
Mm.
make sure that there's also that toxic positivity? Like, how do you make sure that your program stands on its own without all of that access bullshit, if you will, that people try and push down the like, oh, supplement this and that? Like, how do you keep your program to be what you intended? Because there's so much out there right now.
Yeah, there's so much out there. And I tried originally in my avoidance of the truth, I tried to bone broth my HA away. Like I tried to supplement my way out of HA. It's not a thing because it's in the research. This isn't made up. There's plenty of literature on it. Your body needs sufficient energy to come in. So there's nothing you can do. The way that we handle this is, in our method, we do visual food logs. So I can see people's food. They don't track, they don't weigh, they don't measure. I don't think that's helpful. There's no real caloric goals for people either. It's, okay, how are you eating and how do I identify the habits and behaviors here that are actually like not helpful? So if I see that you're living off wheatgrass shots and bone broth and stuff, which is, I'm not going to like be polarizing the other direction, but it's more about, okay, like that is probably less helpful, like, girl, no one got their period back on cucumber and celery. It's like, love me some cucumber and celery. That's great. Love a green juice, but it's actually just not going to work. So what if you added in, I see that you like peanut butter. And I love that you do, and I see you have it like a tablespoon on the side of your 0% yogurt. Awesome. What if we tried actual toast with peanut butter, right? Because it's like, and then they're like, toast,
Mhm.
and it just becomes a conversation. And this suggestion in moving towards, what's funny about this is it's like they used to eat this way once upon a time. They used to eat this way in high school or in college, and they got away from it more often than not. And
Yeah.
we're bringing them back to a state that they actually want to be in, but that they have built a fear around. So I'm not trying to make you eat the way I eat.
Mhm.
I'm trying to figure out by asking questions. We do things like food audits and diet audits, like what are the rules and stuff you have? And we can usually discover, okay, but what do you actually want to eat? Or if I see you making a burger and fries, but it's a lettuce wrap and those fries are air wrapped with no oil. Okay, I know you like burgers, but I see what you're doing. So
Yeah.
let's coach into eating a regular burger. So it's not like a really about hating on any particular thing, but it's like slowly coaxing out a more neutral, healthy relationship with food. And we use things like the fertility awareness method and all that good stuff to track the progress. As you make these changes to your exercise and to your diet, cervical mucus produces, baseline temperatures go up. Like, look, and now we're connecting
Right.
all the dots, and it's a very eye-opening
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah. And at first, it's so simple to them. But then once they see the results, I'm sure their mind is blown. Like, and it's just changing a couple of things in their nutrition. And then you also said, like, with the workouts too, you see progress because a lot of these are modern day hormone disruptors and we don't even realize it.
Yeah, it's all that absolutely, yeah. That we've created a very not conducive environment for fertility. And it's like the more you learn, the less shocking it is.
It's interesting though what you said at the very beginning. Like, this isn't just because of us trying to get pregnant. This is also just our life, like our bone density. And there's so many other layers into our health that get affected if we don't take care of this by just simply menstruating.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Is your question like what else about it? Like why else is this important?
Well, just from what you said, I clearly see that it's important, but I guess what
Mm.
else have you noticed not menstruating, what else has this affected for long term?
Yeah. Yeah. So it all like it's like a self-feeding issue where like now you're hungry, so now you're stressed, and now you're anxious. And what we find, so one of the biggest things that I'm most passionate actually about is this isn't about getting your period back per se, and it's not just about getting your fertility back. It's about getting your life back. And I wish I could market it that way. I wish I could be like, get your life back, But they don't want it. They don't want it. They're
Right.
like, no, I'm happy in my neurosis. So, it's like, all right, let's get periods back because you want babies, or like you got a bad bone density scan or something and now you're scared. But what's happening outside that they're sometimes not realizing is not spontaneous anymore, not finding a lot of joy. Life is very two dimensional, easily irritated, no libido, no sex life, not happy, and just easily frustrated. And your partner's tiptoeing around you, and like you're not allowed to make a last minute decision to just go get pizza. It's all stressful.
Yeah.
And it gets worse and it gets worse and it gets worse. And you start to think that's just your personality. And you start to think that like you're just food focused, or I can't skip a workout. It's my stress relief. And it's like, it's not your stress relief. It's just your compulsion. If you don't do your compulsion, you're going to freak out. So now you're calling it your stress relief. It's like, you don't see these things are sneaking up on you.
Yeah.
Then you enter into the fertility healing process because you're forced to for your own survival and fertility. And then you start waking up from this crazy state you've been in, and you're like, "Oh my gosh, yeah, we can just get a burger. That wasn't so bad. Hey, I can go to dinner and actually care about what other people are saying to me. I'm not focused on the food on the table or how this is taking me away from my workout or my like weird elaborate dessert that I make for myself every night that checks all the boxes of my food rules." Like, they start to see their behavior and they come to me and they're like, life is better. Life is three-dimensional. What? All I needed was to chill out for a second. And I honestly think, like, while we could go down the rabbit hole of, all right, so like you're gonna lose all your hair and your nails aren't gonna grow and your bone density is gonna get bad and your blood pressure is gonna keep plummeting, etc. I really think it's like the vibrancy of life
Mhm.
that is truly the biggest issue. And it's just all connected to your physical well-being.
And it's freedom. It's basically just giving us now freedom to live again. And I think that a lot of times people look at, oh, I have to get healthy or I have to change how I do things and I don't get to live how I want to. But it's the opposite. It's giving you life for sure.
Yeah, so relatable because you actually have internal dialogue with yourself of like, "Oh, I'm not allowed to do that." It
Mhm.
must be nice for her that she can just go and get an ice cream, but, like, I can't do that. And I can't, I won't, I'm not allowed, I don't is such a common thing in your brain, and then your hypothalamus is like famine, restriction, not allowed, like, we know that we're not that this is not for us. And that's why sometimes just bumping your calories or, like, taking a little bit of rest isn't enough to recover, which sends women on a spiral. That's at the point that they hire us, right? They're like, "I tried, but nothing worked. I'm the unicorn." And it's like, "No, you just, like, allowed a little bit more, but there's still a bunch of rules." And you're right. Nothing really changed.
So when someone comes to you for the first time, what are the steps to get them to become well more connected and then healthy again
Yeah.
in that department?
Yeah. So, we do the whole full intake, right? Health forms, and I get an idea. I like to learn a lot about, okay, what was your past relationship with food and what are you doing now? What's your past relationship with exercise? What are you doing now? Let's take a look at your food log. What's your menstrual cycle history? What's the lowest weight you've been? What's the weight you're at now? What are your expectations? Like, let's just like really flesh out who this person is.
Mm.
Typically, all a very similar type of person, which is very interesting. And then we'll start like making some initial suggestions for food and exercise, depending on their level of comfort for change, right? Because some people are like, no, I'm all in. I just need your support. Let's go. What do you want? And I can give them like the fastest route from A to B. But some people are really anxious. Like, I'm entering into this process with trust, but I'm very afraid. And if we go too fast, I might lose my mind. I was that person, so I get it. and then we'll go a little slower.
Mm.
While we're doing that, I have them using the fertility awareness method. So this is just like, while it's been around for many years, just gaining a lot of traction now, where we use our basal body temperature, our cervical mucus observations to see what's estrogen, progesterone doing, FSH, LH, metabolism, thyroid. And it gives us an idea of how the woman's body is responding to what they're currently doing. And then as we make changes to their nutrition and exercise and stress and things, do we see it start to move into the more optimal parameters, like better baseline temperatures? Most women with HA are very low basal body temperature. So step one is make changes that bring their body to their ideal range. Often they weren't seeing cervical mucus, or they were seeing a little bit chronically, and you're not meant to see it all the time. You're only meant to see it 3 to 5 days per month. But they're seeing like a little bit all the time, or they're seeing none, and they're never ovulating and they're never menstruating. Then it's like, okay, let's make changes to our food and nutrition and stress till we see that symptom, so on and so forth. Because at the end of the day, with HA, and we can look at your labs to like 100% prove it, right? But I mean, you have it. At the end of the day, if you're not seeing those symptoms, you don't have a period, and we've been trying this for 2 weeks, we got to push more. We got to do more. Every woman is different. There is no set amount of calories that works for every woman. We are working directly with them to make these adjustments and provide the evidence, and use evidence, not just vibes, to determine if this is working or not. And then it's like kind of our job to, it's hard, it's scary, it's emotional. Like, oh, I gained 5 pounds and I don't have my period. Like, what's happening? And I can show them, like, look at the signs of progress your body is making. Look at the other areas, we talked about this. I'm still seeing a lot of rice cakes, but like, can we make a shift here? I can see the habits, fears, and behaviors in their logs, in the way they're speaking. So we're doing a lot of counseling through this process, using the evidence, using the tools like food logs and exercise logs and such, to help like encourage them forward. And typically not long into the process, they know what I'm going to say. They know what we're looking for. And I'm just there to like encourage them and tell them, yeah, that's exactly what you're looking at. Or, hey, I think that your fear is getting in the way of your actual goal, because your goal is pregnancy, but your actions look a lot like hitting a PR runtime. And the two are not. So like, which one is it? And then we can get realigned together. And it's just that process, like rinse and repeat,
Right.
till you have your result.
Yeah. So once women go through the program, they get their results, they go back into the world and they go to their doctors, and the doctors start to give them their whole typical spiel, and they start to not feel seen anymore. Obviously, they can always come back to you, but how can women become better advocates for themselves, especially regarding their hormonal health?
Yeah, it's always tough once you know this information and you start having to go to the doctors. You're like, we just had a client, she's pregnant with her second child now, and she went to the doctor and she didn't realize she was pregnant either, really. Like, well, we can see on the chart that you're pregnant, right? Like, when you know what you're looking for, it's quite clear. And she hadn't quite noticed that fact. I think some people are in like mad denial. When you've had for such long fertility issues, you're like, no.
Right.
And their doctor wanted to just like run a pelvic ultrasound, assuming there was something wrong, versus just like, which is crazy to me. She's pregnant. Like, how can you not see this? So there's all kinds of strange, unfortunate encounters in the medical system. And what I love about what we do is when someone joins us, it kind of becomes like a lifelong partnership. We work intensely meeting every 2 weeks in the very beginning. But once they have their goal and they've learned these tools, they take it for themselves and they reach out to us when like life comes up. Maybe they're postpartum or, stressful event happened and their cycle is out of whack and they just want an opinion or some accountability to get back on track. Or they had a weird doctor's appointment and they're like, they tell me exactly what I would say to them. The doctor said this, but like clearly based on my chart, this is what's happening. And they want to do this intervention. But I like heard in my head, Dani would have said, how about we just try like eating some protein first? And like they develop these tools for themselves because education is power. Because knowing how the menstrual cycle works and how hormones work, even just on a foundational level, completely changes the game and makes you significantly more empowered when you walk into a doctor's office to make your own decisions. And I think they just messaged me to get like a gut check on that, right? But, in the process of recovering your cycle or optimizing your cycle, you simply learn your own, like you develop your own philosophies and your own beliefs about what's right for you. And you can take that with you into the doctor's office.
I always love to end with this question, and it's very different for everyone, but stress can be good, stress can be bad, depending on how you look at it. But how has stress saved your life?
Mm. That is such an interesting question. Yes, stress is important to have in your life because, like, otherwise, how would we get pushed to achieve anything? And while I think that the stress of keeping up in life, like, got me in this mess in the first place, it's I wouldn't be here without it. And, there's all kinds like, I would just still be running on fumes, trying to lift as heavy as I can, which didn't help anyone. Like, it didn't help me. It didn't help anyone. Pursuing six-pack abs didn't better the world in any way. But the way that it totally made me crash and burn created an opportunity for me to help so many other people. And now there's happier marriages out there because she's eating. And there's babies out there because mom fed herself and calmed down about everything. And so, my burnout helped me see that, but then also, my ability to be a high achiever and to put some pressure on myself allowed me to also create a business that helps other people. So, stress when channeled appropriately is an awesome power.
Great answer. I really love that one. I think a lot of people can resonate with that. We have a decent amount of high achievers who listen to this podcast, though.
Right?
Just appreciate your time, Dani, and all all of your insights. And I just want people to connect with you, especially those that are going through HA and don't even realize I didn't even know that that was the specific terminology prior to our conversation today. So, how can people connect with you and where can they find HA?
Yes, thank you so much. Y'all can connect with us. I'm Dani Sheriff everywhere, YouTube, Instagram, you name it. And we are the hasociety.com. I have tons of information and resources out there. In our conversation, I touched on like we do these things called food audits and diet audits and many audits that help you unpack what behaviors you have and like help see if it's affecting your life and your fertility. I would love to just give those tools to your audience. It's something they can do themselves. I would just love to be able to offer that to them. And if they want to, there's an option for them to get on a call with me that is actually completely free, just to help them determine, is this the problem that they have? Are they on the right track? I'm happy to offer any of that to you guys. So to get that, all you need to do is send me a DM either at the HA Society or at Dani Sheriff on Instagram, and I'll send those audit tools to you. You just need to just let me know that you listened to me over on Stress-Free Solutions, and I just hand that over to you guys. It's just like the best starting point if this is new to you.
Thank you, Dani. Thank you so much for that. I know my audience will really appreciate it. And guys, please share your takeaways. You can reach out to Dani or myself on Instagram. And as always, remember to speak well to yourself on this self love journey.